gleaming metropolis where skyscrapers pierce the clouds and autonomous drones hum through the air, the latest marvel of science is poised to redefine humanity. An experimental vaccine, one not for the body but for the mind, promises to eliminate suffering. No more heartbreak, no more grief, no more despair. The media dubs it the last vaccine, and the world watches in awe. New York City, the testing ground for this miracle, buzzes with anticipation. Billboards flash holographic images of serene faces, their eyes devoid of worry. A simple injection, and you're free from pain forever. For a moment, it seems like utopia is within reach. But beneath the glossy ads and government endorsements lies a question no one dares to ask. What happens when you can't feel pain? The first wave of volunteers, hailed as pioneers of a new era, step forward. At first, the results are astounding. People emerge from their emotional cocoons, liberated from anxiety and fear. Productivity soars, violence plummets. It's as if society has found its missing puzzle piece. But soon, cracks begin to show. A man gazes at his newborn child and feels nothing. A woman, once moved to tears by her favorite symphony, now listens in silence. The vaccine, designed to numb pain, has also dulled joy. Without suffering, the highs of life are flattened into a monotone existence. What started as a dream is quickly unraveling into something darker. As more people line up for their injections, the question shifts from how much pain can we avoid to how much humanity are we willing to lose. The rollout of the last vaccine spreads like wildfire. Within months, half the population of New York City is immunized. On the surface, it appears to be a golden age. Stress disappears from workplaces. Relationships become devoid of arguments. Even crime rates drop to historic lows. It's as if humanity has finally conquered its primal flaws. But the absence of pain reveals a disturbing truth. Pain was never the enemy. It was the warning signal. Without it, society begins to stumble in ways no one anticipated. Small businesses, once thriving on passion and creativity, falter. The spark that drove innovation dims. Artists, sculptors, and writers find themselves unable to summon the emotions needed to create. The very heartbeat of the city, the unpredictable chaos that made it alive, is gone. In the middle of this emotional drought, Dr. Elena Harper, one of the vaccine's leading developers, watches her dream unravel. Her once bold claim, humanity will transcend suffering, now rings hollow. She observes test subjects reporting strange phenomena, memories of loved ones fading, attachments severing like frayed wires. It dawns on her, the vaccine doesn't just suppress pain, it erases the emotional spectrum that makes people human. Meanwhile, dissent brews in the shadows. A movement called the Feelers emerges. They reject the vaccine and warn of its dangers, but their voices are drowned out by a society unwilling to confront its growing numbness. Despite mounting evidence of emotional desolation, millions continue to line up for the injection. The government, eager to maintain control, frames the Feelers as fearmongers, accusing them of clinging to outdated notions of suffering. But cracks begin to show, even among the vaccinated. They become detached, unable to mourn their dead or cherish their loved ones. Relationships dissolve into hollow partnerships. Parents look at their children and feel nothing but duty. It's no longer just a question of emotional immunity. The vaccine is transforming society into a cold, sterile machine. As humanity edges closer to perfection, the cost becomes unbearable. The very soul of the city, the vibrancy of connection and creativity, is slipping away. As the last vaccine continues its relentless spread, its unintended consequences ripple outward like a silent tsunami. What began as isolated reports of emotional detachment escalates into a full-blown societal crisis. Entire industries, particularly those fueled by empathy and creativity, begin to collapse. Mental health professionals, artists, and even caregivers, those who once thrived on their ability to connect with others, find themselves redundant in a world where emotions are no longer needed. The streets of New York, once alive with diversity and chaos, now echo with an eerie order. People move with mechanical precision, eyes devoid of curiosity. Conversations are reduced to cold efficiency. Even laughter, once a universal language, fades into a distant memory. The world, sanitized of suffering, begins to feel like a sterile prison. Dr. Elena Harper becomes a reluctant prophet of the vaccine's downfall. Her guilt deepens as she discovers the vaccine's true mechanism. It rewires the brain's limbic system, not just suppressing pain, but severing the neural pathways that allow for love, hope, and passion. Each dose is a step further from humanity, a march toward emotional extinction. The government, desperate to maintain order, tightens its grip. Propaganda floods the airwaves, depicting the vaccinated as the pinnacle of evolution and the unvaccinated as primitive holdouts. But the cracks in this narrative are impossible to ignore. Families disintegrate, communities crumble. Even the most ardent supporters of the vaccine begin to question, what is a life without meaning? Meanwhile, the feelers grow in strength, transforming from a fringe movement to a full-fledged resistance. Their underground networks spread the stories of those who regret their decision, the returners, individuals who yearn for the emotions they've lost, but find themselves trapped in a permanent state of numbness. The returners serve as living proof that perfection comes at an unimaginable cost. As tensions escalate, a pivotal moment arrives. A video leaks of a vaccinated mother staring blankly as her child begs for comfort after a fall. The footage spreads like wildfire, shaking even the staunchest advocates of the vaccine. For the first time, society begins to question whether the price of peace is too steep. But for millions, it's already too late. The vaccine's effects are irreversible. Humanity teeters on the edge of an emotional abyss, and the question hangs in the air: is there any way to reclaim what has been lost? In the sterile shadows of a city that once pulsed with life, the feelers emerge as an unrelenting force. What began as whispered dissent now grows into a coordinated resistance, united by one goal: to expose the truth and reclaim what humanity has lost. Their methods are as varied as their members: scientists, artists, former vaccine advocates, all bound by a shared longing for the depth and complexity of unfiltered emotion. The underground is alive with action. Hidden laboratories hum with experiments aimed at reversing the vaccine's effects. Hackers infiltrate government systems, uncovering classified data about the vaccine's darker origins. It becomes clear that the last vaccine wasn't just a misguided attempt at utopia. It was a calculated tool for control. By severing humanity's emotional ties, the ruling elite ensured a complete dissolution. The resistance faces overwhelming odds. Their enemy is not just the government, but the very fabric of society itself, a population unwilling to question the illusion of perfection. Yet, within the heart of their struggle lies a paradoxical beauty. Even in the face of despair, the feelers find connection. In their underground hideouts, music returns, art flourishes, stories are shared, each one a testament to the human spirit. As the resistance gains momentum, their message spreads. Hidden broadcasts interrupt government propaganda, showing stark, unfiltered realities. A city losing its soul, families crumbling, children growing up in a world devoid of love. Each broadcast is a spark, igniting flickers of doubt in the minds of the vaccinated. Dr. Elena Harper, once the face of the vaccine, becomes an unlikely ally. Armed with insider knowledge, she leads the charge to develop an antidote, a risky, untested reversal process that could restore emotions. But the cost is steep. The procedure is excruciating, and not everyone survives the transformation. Despite the risks, volunteers come forward, driven by the hope of feeling again. The resistance's actions culminate in a daring plan to infiltrate the government's central lab and release the antidote en masse. The operation is fraught with danger, but it represents the last, best chance to restore humanity's emotional core. As the resistance prepares for their final act, a question looms. Will their efforts spark a new beginning, or will humanity's emotional void become its permanent legacy? The day of the Resistance's final mission dawns under a steel-gray sky, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Deep within the government's fortified laboratory, the antidote, an unassuming vial of pale blue liquid, waits to decide the fate of humanity. The feelers know that failure means the permanent loss of what makes life worth living. The vaccine's effects have left scars that may never fully heal. The plan unfolds with meticulous precision. Resistance members, disguised as maintenance workers, infiltrate the lab. A symphony of tension builds as they navigate biometric security, evade patrol drones, and disable surveillance systems. Every step feels like a tightrope walk, the weight of their mission pressing down on them. As the team reaches the central lab, they face an unexpected obstacle. A contingent of vaccinated soldiers, eerily calm and unflinching. These enforcers, immune to fear or hesitation, are the ultimate embodiment of the vaccine's power. What follows is a harrowing battle, not of brute force, but of will. The Resistance's humanity, its capacity for passion and ingenuity, proves to be their greatest weapon. Dr. Elena Harper, carrying the antidote, reaches the distribution system. As she prepares to release it, a voice crackles over the loudspeakers, the government's lead scientist, pleading with her to stop. "You don't understand," he says. "This isn't just about pain, it's about control. Without it, society will collapse into chaos." For a moment, doubt flickers in Elena's mind. Could he be right? Has humanity become so reliant on the vaccine that undoing its effects would cause more harm than good? The Resistance watches, holding their breath, as Elena wrestles with the weight of her decision. Gabrielle, I'd say, Eleanor reflected. She thought about how her experience with the vaccine was like sculpting a puzzle. None of the aspects of the faced a life with success. Finally, she speaks, not to the scientist, but to the world. Her words broadcast live through hijacked communication networks cut through the sterile air. Control without connection isn't living. A society without love isn't a society. It's a prison. We deserve the chance to feel, even if it means we suffer. With a final breath, she activates the antidote. Gas hisses through the lab's ventilation system, spreading outward, carried on the wind to every corner of the city. For a moment, nothing happens. The streets remain eerily quiet, the world holding its breath. Then, the changes begin. People pause, their eyes widening, as forgotten emotions surge back. Tears flow freely, some of joy, others of grief. In homes, on streets, in offices, humanity wakes up, raw and vulnerable. But the transition is far from smooth. The return of emotions brings chaos. Decades of repressed pain erupt. People struggle to reconnect with feelings they barely recognize. Yet, amid the turmoil, something beautiful begins to unfold, a rekindling of art, of music, of love. The soul of the city, though battered, starts to pulse once more. The Resistance's actions spark a global awakening. The last vaccine, once hailed as humanity's salvation, is now seen for what it truly was, a warning. And as the world rebuilds, it carries a hard-earned lesson. Pain is not the enemy. It is the price of being human. Humanity's pursuit of perfection taught us one undeniable truth. Pain isn't our enemy. It's a reminder of what makes us alive. In reclaiming emotions, we rediscovered love, creativity, and connection. Now it's your turn to reflect. What would you sacrifice for a perfect life? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this story compelling, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to explore more thought-provoking content. Your journey into the extraordinary is just beginning.